Hello, I'm Rod Peppiatt from the Avenue Uniting Church in Blackburn, Victoria, meeting on the lands of the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation. This witness to the word is coming after the day after the referendum voting in the voting for the voice to Parliament, and that shapes a chunk of what we are doing in our service at Blackburn this week. I want to read to you 3 short readings that are my focus. Firstly, from the prophecy of Micah, very long time before Jesus. Micah chapter 6, words that are familiar to many of us. With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, or with tens of thousands of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, human, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with your God. And a contemporary reading from Greta Vosper, Canadian minister and writer. At the very core of our being, we know and experience the need to relate to one another. Our souls long for communion, and we gather to seek it out. Let us open ourselves to the possibilities to which our souls call us. May we see each other as unique and yet one. May we see the differences between us and all that we share in common. May we hallow what we find as we look into the eyes of those with whom we share community. Let us open ourselves to the possibilities to which our souls call us. And then a single verse from Matthew's Gospel from chapter 5, known as Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. I want to hold before you for just a couple of moments an image. I wonder what you see. It's an image of a bowl. This is a photograph of a Japanese craft known as Kintsugi. Kintsugi literally means to join with gold, and there you'll see the gold in the pot or the plate. Broken objects, says Kintsugi, are not inherently worthless. They can still serve their purpose, and their brokenness can be seen as part of their history. Embracing imperfection was one description I saw and that I quite liked. The idea, and it's a very old craft from the 15th century. Rather than being fixed with something that will be invisible, think superglue today, the repair is allowed to become part of the story of the object. And more than that, the repair is something to be honoured, celebrated even. And I came across the idea of Kintsugi some time ago, and I've liked it for a long time. I tried it once on a broken pottery chalice with a spectacular lack of success. But one day, who knows, I'll try again perhaps, probably on something that doesn't need to hold liquid. But Kintsugi has been a significant image for me as I've learned to love some of my cracks and my scars and how they have made me who I am, including my cracks of anxiety and depression. I wonder, when you first looked at this, once you worked out what you were looking at, how you related to it. Did you wish that they'd fixed it more invisibly? Sorry, I'm struggling with my words today. Kintsugi may seem strange when we first look at it. It involves a way of doing, but also a way of seeing, it seems to me. One which involves noting what has been broken, noting what has been done in the repair, and noting and paying attention to the renewed object which has emerged. With time, attention, patience, and imagination, something new can be created out of something old. Now, that may seem a strange thing to be talking about today, on this day after a referendum, but that's okay. I've probably never had just one of the Beatitudes read in church either. As you know, I'm a big believer in reading and hearing Bible readings in their own context. And I'm definitely not a believer in pulling single verses out at random to prove a point. I hope I've not done that here. But I've read that single verse from Matthew's Gospel because it's been in my head for ages as I thought about this service, and it won't go away. I decided many weeks ago that what we would do today was going to focus on the referendum aftermath and where I think the politics of it have left our country. Now, I do so without reference to the decision. I've written this witness and am actually recording it now on Thursday, well before polling day. And I'll change nothing. So why is that one voice in my head? Because as I listen to the media about what's going on in our country, and as I talk and listen to the people around me, the thought has occurred to me time after time, blessed are the peacemakers. We're going to need them. But in the last few days, another voice has been equally insistent. Blessed are the peacemakers, we're going to need them, and we're going to need to be them. Because just as surely as the plate in our picture has been broken, I believe Australia is actually currently quite broken. At very least, the cracks in our community are deep and wide at present. On one hand, like many others, I'm deeply hurt by that, and quite angry too, at how the politics of the referendum have played out. But I also recognise that many of those cracks and much of that brokenness has been with us for years, decades, centuries maybe, with attempts to use the invisible glue or ignore them altogether, being the chosen way of operation. On the other hand, also like many others, I wonder whether this might finally be the moment that we begin to work on the brokenness together. But if I'm honest, I don't know how that's going to happen. I just hope. Blessed are the peacemakers. We're going to need them. We're going to need to be them. Just like those who sit down with time and patience, attention and imagination with cracked and damaged objects in front of them, we don't know what the renewed product might look like. As it is for artists and craftspeople, peacemaking is an act of faith. I don't idealise it, and I'm sure that my cracked chalice isn't the only failure of Kintsugi. And clearly this is bigger than just us. But as people who are doing our best to follow the way of Jesus in these days after the referendum, I humbly believe that we are able to give, to place, and to be some of the gold that is needed, and not just able, called. Let me finish with another image of Kintsugi, one which has its cracks and yet holds light. In the name of the Holy Presence, in whom we live and move and have our being. Amen. Blessings.